Happy Saturday, you guys. So you can tell based on the title that today I need to save my Mathilde. Actually, I've already saved her life, but we want to talk about how I did that. So before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Yvette Boone. I'm a recovering software engineer and a lifelong creative hobbyist and plant enthusiast. And here on this channel, we create a safe space for Black women to incorporate creative hobbies into their wellness practice. So what happened with my Mathilde? I wish I had pictures to show you, and if I find some, which I don't think I have, I will put them in. But she was one of the plants that I ended up, getting rid of when I got rid of all the dead plants that I wasn't gonna bring into this year. So what I did was I propagated her. So let me back up a little bit. I noticed that she was turning yellow, and I actually have another plant that is doing the same thing. Hold on. So this is my Chelsea, and my Chelsea is pretty much doing the same thing. Now she is a little bright because she is in a lot of light, and I could probably pull her back, but I don't know that you can see this on camera, but her leaves are wrinkling. These are really soft. Why? It doesn't make any sense. I'm watering them all at the same time. So this was exactly what happened with my Mathilde. But sometimes I've noticed when my Hoyas sort of want to go bad and go rogue, it's like their roots die off. So it could be that I missed the watering, but regardless, what happened was this Mathilde started doing the same thing that my Chelsea is doing. And it was actually the leaves that were closer to the dirt. So the ones that were, closer to the pot were the ones that were getting soft first. And it just didn't make much sense to me. So what I did was I cut all of her tendrils off, which is what you see here. I actually have one more small little pot. And so I cut all her tendrils off, and I said, I will just propagate that. And what I was thinking was maybe the root system wasn't strong enough to support the whole plant. So I cut that off so that the root system could then take care of what was like maybe enough stem for 2 or 3 leaves, right? And it still died off. And so at the end of the day, I have a new plant. I actually have more tendrils, or more opportunity for the plants to grow, because I had really long tendrils and I kind of cut them up and put everything in the water. Let me get this extra one. Okay, so here is the other pot that I had, or little propagations that I have. And you see she is well rooted, okay? So today I'm just gonna pot this up, and I kind of want to talk about why propagation of your plants is super important. So if you are a new plant parent, what I have found in being a new plant parent, and it's not just being new to plants altogether, it could be your very first time taking care of a plant, that the best way that I've found to learn how to take care of that plant in my environment, right, is to propagate it. Like, I get to tell how much water it actually wants, how much light it actually wants. Like, all of these things become super apparent when you're propagating, right? Plus, it gives you more opportunity to, even once you get a viable plant, to try new things with the propagations. Hey, if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you like this video or love these videos, you would absolutely love our community. So to join our community, hit that subscribe button. All right, let's get back into it. So for instance, when I first started growing Hoyas, I had never had a Hoya before. I didn't even know anybody who had Hoyas, so I couldn't even ask anybody, right? Like, what would you do? So what I did was I would buy 2 pots of the same plant, and then I would grow them in different conditions to see how it was going to do. Like, if one was in the living room where it got natural light, and which means that when it got dark, they got no more light. And then I had one that grew in here with the artificial lights and with timers that, you know, kind of burn pretty much a good portion of the day. And in the beginning, I used to run them quite a lot. But then after a while, I kind of turned the lights down some because I just felt like the plants need a break. Like they don't need to be lit up 24 hours a day. It just felt like a bit much. So I think what I'm going to do is I want to take these out first. Oh, well, that's sort of sad. The peduncle just fell off. Okay, well, that's our out. We're going to cut that back to that. And we'll see if that bleeds out. And the one thing about Hoyas is when you cut them, they produce or secrete, and you can probably see it. It'll probably show up a little bit better a little bit later. But it has like a secretion that comes out. It's sort of, I forgot what the name of it is, but it can be a little irritating to your skin. So you don't want it to touch your skin or anything. But it's just like a white, I want to say it's like a latex type secretion. It's nothing to be, you know, really concerned about, which is why I really rather cut just at the dead part and let the rest of it just kind of stay on, because you don't get that secretion in the dead part. You know the plant is still viable at this point if you see some secretion. I don't see a lot, so it might have had a little bit of life still left in it, but not much. Okay. So I really found that when I propagated my plants, that I got to learn a whole lot about those plants, right? How much light to give them, how fast they grew roots, what their roots look like. I mean, I don't know how many times I have opened up a pot and the pot had, you know, the plant had roots to it, but some of the roots were brown. And in my mind, I was like, oh, brown roots are dead roots, right? Not always. Not all plants produce mature white roots, right? This Hoya has beautiful roots. Look at that. So I do have two types of Hoyas in here because that is how I roll. I want to say this might be some Propagated or maybe some Carnosa, and this for sure is some Propagated in here. So I'm just kind of separating them, pulling them apart. And they're not, there we go. Look at that. Beautiful. So I will probably take and add this to the pot that's already there, but for now she's gonna go back in this water, which is not a lot in there, but she's gonna go back in this water and we will pot her up another time. But today we are potting up the Mathilde because we got to get her back to where she was. She is a beautiful, prolific bloomer. I love this plant. I love the baby leaves, right? Love the baby leaves. So we need to get her back on track. Now, what I do want to do is I don't want to put in too long of a stem. I think what I was mostly concerned with was making sure that I had enough of a stem to produce roots, but you know, I didn't want anything super long because I want to have a good root system for each plantlet, right? So this is kind of long, but you know, oh, wait. This is actually two pieces. So I have one here and then one here. I don't think I mind this too much. That's okay. Okay, so I got pretty decent pieces. When I tell you these things were like every bit of about 2.5 to 3 feet long. So that was a lot, okay? Quite a lot. So yeah, what I was saying was that I really think that propagating is the way to go when you want to learn how a plant is going to respond in your care. What, and it depends on the way you propagate. Of course, most times the easiest way for us to propagate is through water propagations, but you can also propagate with sphagnum moss. You can even propagate in the dirt. I have squirrels on my roof. So to me, propagating in the dirt is a little bit more difficult because you can't see the roots. And so I don't propagate in dirt because I like to see the roots. That's not one. I really like to see the roots, but I also feel like I need to see the roots, especially when I'm trying to learn how to care for a plant. I need to see some root action. I need to see how quickly their roots grow, what color their roots are, how thick their roots are. Now, I will say water roots are a little different for the most part than, oh, wow, okay, we got some, I thought I separated everybody, but I see I didn't. Okay, there we go. Sometimes I find that water roots are a little thicker, and then once you put them in the soil, they become a little thinner. But for the most part, I haven't had any trouble with rooting a plant from water roots. Now, I will say I don't think all plants are created equal in that area, but propagating helps you know that. Propagating lets you know, okay, this doesn't, you need to put these in the dirt really quickly. If you wait too long, then it takes a little bit longer for these to acclimate. But all of that comes from propagating your plants and making sure that you get to see a lot of the process that happens inside the dirt, because then you know what's going on inside the dirt. You know what to expect. You know that when you go to repot that plant, if I repot this plant and I see brown roots, then I know that's a problem, because I know these roots are not brown when they're healthy, right? I know if I see really thin, shriveled up roots, then I know that that's not a healthy root, that maybe I need to water my plants more often. So I really think propagating a plant kind of puts you in the right frame of mind as to how to care for that plant. Now, I'm going to put all of these in at one time, because why not? There's an art to, there is a definite art to arranging your plant when you are repotting. No, people don't talk about that often enough, but it can be a little nerve-wracking repotting your plants, because you want it to look nice as soon as you finish, but sometimes that process, it needs to come to that on its own. But putting these things in here to make sure that you don't have any gaps like this. Okay, let's start all over again, because apparently I'm gonna try a process that I really enjoy, and that's putting all of my roots together so that I know what all is going where. And that way I don't have to worry about pulling some out and getting some confused. Okay, stop it. So yeah, as much as I love propagating, I think I almost love propagating as much as I love caring for my plants. The reason I love it so much is because it teaches me so much about my plants. It teaches me, things that we kind of take for granted. You buy a plant, it's beautiful in the shop, you get it home, and it's like, I don't really know how to take care of this plant. I don't know if I'm giving it too much water, right? I don't know if it has enough light. One of the things that you know when it comes to whether or not your plant is getting enough light is that you see it growing, right? Or you see it yellowing. You see, like, for instance, these are a little washed out. I knew that, especially with Hoyas, that if you give them too much sun for them, too much light, they tend to get a little washed out. I could get a deeper color on this plant if I pull back on some of the light, right? But I also wanted to make sure that she was getting all that she needed, because she had been through such a traumatic experience with the whole needing to be rooted, that I wanted to make sure that she was good. So, oh yeah, I'm liking this process a little bit better. Also liking this pot. So yeah, propagating my plants has been a real flex, a real save, because I get to see all the things. And look, if I make a mistake, if I get in there and I decide, oh, you know, I thought my plant needed this, but it really needed this, and the plant is dying, I got extras, right? Because I done propagated. I have extras, because now I'm taking that one plant. You know, a plant really is a bunch of little cuttings put together to make that plant full, right? Every time I cut that plant and I root it, that's a whole new plant, right? Typically, when you see a big, beautiful plant, that's a lot of small cuttings that have grown root systems, and you know, you add them together to make a full pot. So every time you propagate, you are actually making a new plant. One little piece of this here would constitute a plant, a new plant. So that's why propagating is super helpful, because one, you're creating a whole new plant that you get to experiment with, right? No extra cost to you. And you get to grow that plant, roots and all, in your environment. So the light that you provide, whether it's artificial lights or sunlight, the temperature in your home, the humidity in your home, like all of those things the plant gets to acclimate to in your home. And that's what you get when you propagate your plant. When you buy a plant from a nursery, or you buy it from a local seller or whatever, and you bring that plant home, that plant is used to growing in that other environment. And a lot of plants are really sort of, you know, adaptable, and they can adapt well to the new environment, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes that acclimation period, you know, is long and brutal, and they don't always bounce back the way we want them to. And if you have no clue how to care for that plant or what it needs, or you're learning, that can be a little daunting, because now the plant is dying, or, you know, kind of pulling back a little bit, and you don't know how to get it to act right. You don't know how to get it to be at its best, right? So I find that propagating, one, gives you that leverage, because you grow your confidence, because you know at the end of the day, even if what I'm trying over here by growing this in sunlight or giving it this much light, if I can propagate it, I can resurrect this plant. And so this is exactly what I did with this plant. This plant, had I not been confident enough to propagate this plant would have died, because she simply needed a new root system. And if I didn't know how to do that, the plant would have died. It wouldn't have mattered whether I put her in the right light or gave her more water, because at that point she needed new roots, and I needed to know that. And the way I know that was because I have been caring for the plant enough. When I cut this plant and I put it in the water, and I noticed that the leaves start turning soft, then I know this plant doesn't have any roots, so it's not pulling up any water. And then I looked 3 or 4 days later, and I noticed that the plant's leaves are firm, but she still doesn't have any roots yet. She's pulling in water somehow, some way. This plant is starting to figure out that it's been cut and it needs new roots. And next thing you know, you see little buds coming out. And I do have one plant that I'm propagating. It's not a Hoya, but I do have some buds. Let me show you. So this is my Synapsis Jade, and as you see, she has roots already, right? Some plants root really quickly, others root a little bit slower. Now, this is the prime example. I cut this all at the same time, right? You see these roots are already nice and long and thick and beautiful, right? This one just started pushing that out, I want to say within the last day or so. And if you notice this side over here, she still is trying to push out a little something. So, and you see her leaf is starting to firm up a little bit because it was starting to curl in pretty badly, but now she's starting to firm up. So this is what I mean. When you take care, when you propagate, you get to learn so much. Like this plant shows that it's not getting enough water a little differently than this one. But when you propagate, you get to see what those differences are. This one, the leaves turn soft. This one, the leaves curl up. When you propagate, you see that. You see these roots, you see the fuzz on these roots, you see how thick and pretty they are. So when you know that if I go to repot this and I see brown roots or I see really small, thin roots, I need to be concerned. That means some part of my care routine is not working out well for this plant. So this is why I love propagating so much, because it tells you so much about your plant. And let me tell you, I cannot be more excited about this plants. Okay, so that means she's gonna be bigger because now I have 3 more plants to add to that pot. I'm gonna put them all together. You know I love me a thick, old, thick plant, okay? Look at her trying to open up. Okay, all right, so I think we got her done. I gotta be really careful with how I move her because, you know, she's not really secured in this pot just yet. And this is a chunky soil, so that I haven't even watered yet. So that's even more reason to be a little bit more careful. For the next maybe month or so, I'm gonna have to keep my eye on her. I'm gonna have to watch her leaves to make sure that they're not staying wrinkled or being wrinkled at all, because you notice all of her leaves are nice and firm. They're like little buttons, right? So they're nice and firm. I see some new leaves coming in here. These little baby leaves coming in. They look like little prayer hands that are coming in. And so I should see some new growth happening on this plant very soon, right? Hoyas grow really well when they have everything that they need, which is why I love them, because they let you know when they're doing okay. You will see new growth or you will see flowers. So I know she needs to be watered. For a little bit, I'm going to be watering her very often. I would rather water her very often and make sure that she stays okay. Okay, we're gonna add just a little bit more soil in there. Okay, and I'm gonna water this in really good. And we are going to put her in a spot where she is going to get light. But I think she's cute. I love this pot. I don't know what it is about these little squat pots that I really like so much for, especially for trailing type plants. So this is my Hoya Mathilde. I think she's going to do well. I don't think she is going to flower for me this year, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. She's still alive because she was on her way out the door. Oh, I do have some peduncles that I want to share with you guys. Hold on one second. Okay, look at her. Oh my goodness, I was so excited. I kept smelling something in here. Good thing smell, not a bad thing smell. And I was like, oh my God, I got flowers. Look at that. Oh my goodness. She smells amazing. I have all kinds of peduncles on here. Look at this. I have one here. I have several here. One on the end, one right here, one right here. I just had some spent flowers to just finish up right here. So this is what started it all. I smelt it from there and I couldn't see it. It was in the back. I had her And it looks like I have a couple of little peduncles up in here too, baby ones. But I had her sitting this way so I couldn't see the flower, but I kept smelling it. And I was like, I know there is a flower in here, but I also have more. Hold on. She is also blooming as well. So there's a peduncle here. And I got a bunch of little baby leaves coming in here. She is actually being watered right now. So she has a bunch of baby peduncles. So I don't really have too much to show. Like she has one there. And I told you we had a little mishap. She has, oh wait, did I show you this one already? Probably, because it's the biggest one. Oh, here, she has one here. So yeah, she has a bunch of baby peduncles, and she went through a little bit of a drama because I made the mistake and broke off 2 of her flowers, but she is flowering again, and it is going to smell amazing when they do bud. But I have more. Look. And this one is budding too. Oh my goodness, this thing blooms so much. This is my Crinkle 8. I really think I probably need to repot her, but I'm not going to repot her anytime soon. She has been needing a lot of water. Let me tell you, when these things start to flower, you have got to stay on top of your watering because these flowers pull a lot out of these plants. So I noticed that my watering, I needed to step up my watering, and that should have gave me an indication that I would be getting flowers soon, but I didn't pick up on it. Last year was around the same time, so I'm starting to think January through about February or March is peduncle season. So next year I'll know to stay tuned. I'm gonna wrap this up because I just wanted to pot that up, and I just wanted to come and talk to you about how important it is that when you want to learn to take care of your plants, that propagation is the way to go. And so, yes, I saved my baby's life. Of course, after she saved mine. But yeah, I saved. So I, forever, will always say the best way to learn how to take care of a plant is to propagate it. Okay? So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like. Share this video out, and don't forget to come back. Subscribe to my channel. I am a growing channel. This plant community is absolutely phenomenal. Okay, read that comment section because we drop all kinds of jewels in that comment section. People comment all the time on different tips and tricks to make sure that your plants are doing well. I don't do pond just yet, but we got people in the comment section that use pond. So there are different medium types, there are different tips and tricks. They have different plants than I do. So they give advice on how to transition into other plants. Just read the comment section. There's so much information here. The people that are in this community are absolutely phenomenal, really nice people, and we all absolutely love plants. Like, it's a thing, okay? So you don't have to shame or feel shame for loving plants, because we all love plants. All right, and if no one else has said it to you today, have a great day. Bye.
But yeah, I have right many of them flowering. Now, I haven't had any flowers on my obovata or my